And welcome everyone to a March Madness chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by NCAA Senior Vice President Dan Gavitt. And Dan, the announcement of the actual dates in between Selection Sunday and the Final Four and the venues. So we want to get to a couple of these quickly here. Let's start on why was March 18th named as the opening of the first four with all four games on that one date?
Well, it's the earliest we could start based on the medical protocols we have in place with testing before teams arrive in Indianapolis, and then importantly, testing once they do arrive in Indy and then get prepared for their first game. Thursday was the earliest we could possibly start the tournament. And so we just combined the first 4 games on one day to start those on Thursday. Those winners will advance to play on Saturday in the first round, and we're off.
And why was the venues of Mackey and Assembly Hall tabbed as the first four sites?
Well, it's a great question. And it has to do really with the preparation of teams for the other sites in the tournament. We'll have, of course, 68 teams that will be in Indianapolis that week practicing to get ready for their first and second round games. And in order to be able to accommodate all those practice sessions at the 4 venues we're going to use in Indianapolis, it was important to have the first 4 games in the venues where we're going to play the least amount of games, and that is at Assembly Hall at IU and at Mackey Arena at Purdue. So it really is to help accommodate practice with the other 4 venues that we'll use for the first and second rounds. An awful lot of practice time to get in for all 68 teams before they play their first game.
And so then the 4 days in a row will start Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So 19th, 20th, 21, 22 at all 6 venues that have been named. When you guys were looking at when it could start, how plausible was it to start the overall tournament on that Friday?
Well, again, once we determined that you could get the first 4 games started on Thursday, then it was natural to start the progression right after that with first round on Friday, and then conclude on Monday. We had the availability of the buildings, and that was key. And then, of course, working closely with CBS Sports and Turner Sports on all of the broadcast windows it was a big part of it as well.
All right, so then we move to the next weekend or round of games, if you will, with the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. Those will start 27th, 28th, 29th, 30. How critical was it to at least have a few days off in between the second round and the Sweet 16, even though travel will not be an issue?
The committee and staff thought it was important to try to keep some semblance of the normal schedule so the teams that advance to the Sweet 16 have enough time to rest and prepare for those key games. Also to have games on the weekend. We were very fortunate that the Indiana Pacers and Bankers Life Fieldhouse was able to get 2 different weekends for us. Our initial ask was for the first and second round weekend, and went back to them during this process and asked for the Saturday and Sunday, the 27th and 28th for the regional round as well. And they were incredible partners in agreeing to do that. And of course, that impacts the Pacers schedule potentially a little bit. So to be able to use that beautiful venue for first and second round games as well as Sweet 16 games was really fundamental to that schedule also.
And then closing the gap in terms of dates from the Elite 8 to the Final Four. So it would end on the 30th, and then the dates that remain the same, the 3rd and the 5th. How comfortable is the committee basically cutting down by a couple of days that normal time period? And once again, no travel, but between the Elite 8 and the national semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unusual, obviously, during the regular season to play, Monday, Tuesday, and then play Saturday that follows. So the games, the teams will have equal rest and preparation before those Saturday games, and certainly seems to make a lot of sense to keep those dates as similar as possible. The venues we have in place, the television windows for our broadcast partners work quite well, and for fans, they're used to playing, seeing games on Saturday of the Final Four and Monday national championship game, and so it was a whole bunch of factors that went into the schedule, Andy. We're really excited about it. We think it creates a great tournament. and creates the kind of balance we need on so many different levels.
And Dan, I just want to circle back on the venues for the rounds. As we said, the first four will be in Indiana's Assembly Hall, Purdue's Mackey Arena. Then the first round will be at both IU, Purdue, Hinkle, the Farmers Coliseum there in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, which will have 2 courts, and Baker's Life. But then you go to the second round, and then you eliminate the out of Indianapolis area, Indiana, Purdue, so you're down to 4, Hinkle, Farmers, Bankers, and Lucas Oil. And then Sweet 16. I think this is really interesting here. It's just Hinkle and Bankers, which will really be unique. What was the thought process in that, in shrinking it more and including that historic venue in Hinkle in the Sweet 16?
Well, the availability of both fantastic venues, of course, and then CBS and Turner being great partners and working together with us to imagine a Sweet 16 round where we have no competitive games. So all those games 4 on Saturday and 4 on Sunday will have their own exclusive windows, which will just make for an incredible viewing experience for 16 great teams, 8 great games, and we think the most appropriate venues to play those games in. Well, we won't have Bankers Life beyond Saturday and Sunday, and so we'll play the Elite 8 games on Monday and Tuesday in Lucas Oil Stadium. That will also assure that the winners of the Elite 8 games will have played at least one game in that venue before they play in the Final 4 games the following weekend.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating to see that aspect with the Elite 8 and the Final 4 being in one venue, and then the television aspect of being able to see all Sweet 16 games, in consecutive order on Saturday and Sunday. I wonder whether or not that'll be something we see in the future, because certainly I think fans will love that they can see every game one in a row. Overall, these details, obviously still some final details to be worked out in terms of exact testing and all that, but it's another step getting closer and closer. Dan, how optimistic are you at this point here? And as we get closer to late January, as we get closer and closer, less than 2 months away from this historic tournament?
Very excited, Andy. Just so excited for the student athletes and coaches and teams that will advance to March Madness this year, to have an opportunity to play. Awful lot of work still to do to execute this solid plan, but it's really encouraging each step of the way to know that there's progress being made.
Appreciate it, Dan. Stay safe.
Thanks, Andy. Be well.